By the way, for anyone who would like to pull up the screen that Shen Tat is looking at right now, that we're looking at with the shared screen, I posted the link in the chat to the section on the website where you can find it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Welcome to Practical Sigilization. I was going on one of my tangents. There are many of them, and I was just letting everyone in the class know that there are these materials, this spreadsheet very specifically, that has all kinds of material to help you kind of orient through the series of classes that we've already taken so far. You are arriving at the last of, there are only going to be 2 additional classes. So you've arrived at the end of a 26th class. Let's see how many. No, it's less than that. Okay, so it's, yeah. It's like about 20, 21 classes you're arriving at the very end of. Some folks in the class have been through along this whole ride. Awesome, thank you so much. I appreciate your support in the series of classes, and I hope you did amazing magic. So, to that, what is this class about, and what is this class not about? We have brand noobs, right, Alex? Yeah, awesome. Perfect. So, I'll give you a little bit of description of what a sigil is, and I'll show you an example or two. And then we're going to talk about the means of actually using those sigils in your own life. And then that'll be followed by a period where, in this particular class, instead of having a guided visualization and astral journey, we will actually have a conversation that creates like a tone, a focus point, a launch zone, launch pad, if you will, for you to dive into your own work, where you will just simply put 7 lines to a piece of paper, and then throughout the week you'll cast it. So let's start with an example of, and I should just use the share. Let's start with an example of a sigil. So these are the actual materials that I was talking. So this is the folder is right in here, and the link allows you to get into this stuff yourself. So here it is. Now, inside also are examples of various uses of sigils. That's not really the material I want to get to. That is far too complicated to talk about for 2. And oh, well, that's super cute and a fun one. I don't think so, because it's invocation. Why are these not? Let's do, yeah, here's a manifestation sigil. Okay. This is actually a fantastic example because it's very similar to the type of work that we're going to be doing in this class. And now, if you take a look closely, you'll see that all there is a series of lines that are interconnected to make a pattern or design. This particular design was an invocation of the god set that I used. And it incorporates many elements. There are lines, there are curves, there are feet on the lines, feet from a typesetting perspective, meaning that every line has some kind of design or fret on the end that are called feet. And I love that. I also love really creating 3-dimensional or 3-dimensionality in my sigils, because it gives me the creeps and it makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up, which gets to how you should feel about the thing that you put on the paper, right? Um, so we're going to do seven lines tonight, and that's all it is. You can, however you put your 7 lines to your paper, you just put the pen against the paper, and you make 7 lines at the end. How do you use those 7 lines, Shen Tat? Let's talk practical before we start getting theoretical. So how do I use them? What I'll do is I'll have in mind not only the meditational seed idea that we'll talk about later, and that's going to be underneath her hand of love, right? All that protects us from ourselves and keeps the greatest of chaos and danger away. Anyways, after that seed thought, right, you really need to just focus on what is your own intention for manifestation. Okay. So have that in mind now, right? Think, what do I really want to manifest in my life? Awesome. Have that four in your mind. Because when you put your 7 lines to the paper, though this idea of the class is in the back of your mind, the jumpstart or seed, really your focus should be on what you want to manifest. Draw your 7 lines. Awesome. Then what you'll do, and you'll do that on, let me give you a fully blank piece of paper so I can demonstrate. So you'll do that on this side.
We can't hear you.
Alex, we just had a thing flash that said that Honey Sons is the host now.
Oh yeah, it looks like the host was switched. 1 second, I'll fix that. I don't know how that happened.
I didn't do it.
Come on. Why?
Who should be the host?
Shen Tat should be the host, but it's not letting me reclaim host. Why is it not letting me reclaim host? Okay.
Well, we can.
Oh,
Um,
there you
did
go.
you get
I
it?
can hear you now. Yeah.
You can hear me now. Yeah.
Let me try and see if I can just make.
There you go. Your host.
Oh, thanks. Cool. Okay. Now let me make Shen Tat. Oh, we can't hear you again. It looks like the device that you're using for audio keeps getting kicked out or like keeps disconnecting. Okay. But now I can hear you. And I made you host again, so we should be all good.
All right. I need to do housekeeping there. Okay. All right. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Perfect. Yay. And we are using all of the correct devices that we need to be using. Good, good, good. Perfect. Now, and this one should still be fully muted. We should have no echo, correct?
Yep, no echo.
Awesome. Perfect. All right. Then, if we are recording already, I'm going to invoke the screen share and we're going to here. All right. So we were talking about, all right, good, good, good. Yay. There's all that being perfect. And see the share. Perfect. Awesome. All right. Now I'm going to need to see who else in the meeting. I need my chat open. And I need my participant. Didn't do this very awesome. Going it solo. All right. There and there. Okay. So I'm so sorry, everyone, for all of this fumbling about making things happen, but it is currently happening. So bonus. All right, so what to do is on this side, you'll actually do your 7 lines, right? If you want to, you can even separately on your very first journal entry, which will be the other side of that piece of paper. So this is where you draw your sigil. On the other side, you'll draw 2 lines, either up and down, or what I prefer, 2 lines down the center to create 3 separate journal entry spaces. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So on the other side is your sigil. On this side is your journal. And the way this works is you'll create your sigil today. Tomorrow, you'll cast your sigil for the first time. The day after that, you'll do your first journal entry. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so and you go a day, a day, a day, a day, a day, every other day. So you're casting every other day, and you're journaling every other day. Okay, and the journal can be anything. It can be as complicated or as simple as you choose to make it. There are journals and journal entries that are done for castings that may have astronomical, astrological events. They may have personal diary snippets along with observations about dream or imagery that's been repeated across several inbound informational vectors, right? So TV, I saw a volcano on in some media site. Oh, seismic activity, and another site, right? I'm making a joke about every news, but it's true. And you know, if it winds up feeling so, there's effect and affect. Having an effect on something, right? I'm wagging this around, right? I'm having an effect on it. I'm using the force and leverage and mechanical force to wag it in the air, right? That's an effect. Affect is your mental state and how you feel about a thing, right? There are things that create affect in us, right? And there, what we're trying to kind of train ourselves to teach ourselves to learn is just the observational skill of our own affectual sort of landscape and what is intruding on it to send us messages. Is it that I saw 14 images of hawk today and I never see hawks? Yes, honey, mama, that's the universe trying to talk to you, and perhaps you should engage that, right? Those would be the things that you would put into the journal. Did I manifest it? Did I not manifest it? How do I feel about the manifestation? How did I feel about the casting itself? Was I able to focus on it? Was I able to? That's exactly how your journal entries are. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Zoom finally let you in. Okay. Yeah. 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 So, yeah. So it looks like some of you may be used to keeping a magical journal. Magical journal is everything. It's power words. It's observations. It's did the spell work? It's how did the spell work? Did the spell creep me out? If it creeped me out, did it creep me out in a way that I liked? If it creeped me out in a way I didn't like, why? What was being triggered there? And oh, it was just there was cobwebs everywhere. I hate cobwebs, right? If it's that simple, then yeah, journal it down. Okay. And the tech that we use to cast the sigil, let's go into that now. There are 2 possible ways to cast your sigil. So the image that's before you, I cast all through my 2nd degree working. So I'm made as a magical contract with myself to cast this every single night for 40 nights. Every night of which I cast circle and I invoke Seth and I called the quarters, and I did the things and lit the candles and drank the juice and smelled the incense and blah blah blah. And I cast a sigil as a part of the working, as well as did some scrying, out of which an amazing piece of work came through me from these realms that we're exploring now. And anyways, the casting itself is simple. There are two techniques that I teach. And the first one is the orgasmic technique. So in the orgasmic technique, essentially what you want to do is you want to have this, your sigil, your 7 lines, you could draw, right? You can keep them on an altar during the day, but the way we use them is we engage them with erotic force. And that means masturbate while looking at the sigil. And whether that's in your imaginary zone, where you project your sigil onto your imaginary partner and watch it glow and illuminate you, or maybe it's a design on the ceiling, or maybe it's that you actually hold the piece of paper while you masturbate, which was really, that was Aleister Crowley's preferred technique. And let me tell you, when he gave a picture of the lamb to lamb, not lamb as in LAMB, but lamb as in LAM, the Greys, in some of his first contacts with them, when he gave his photograph, his drawing, hand drawing to Austin Spare, was not pretty. It had been well used and worn. So become your favorite technique because of. Yeah, yeah. And I'll tell you what we're trying to do is we're trying to engage all of the human systems at once. And there's one activity that can go straight to the sweet spot, and that's sex. The deeper you get into a flow state in an erotic space with yourself, where you are fully safe, you can really explore that space and get intense. And you get intense by your breathing getting deeper. Your electrical system lights up. Your with all of that, the respiration, with the heightened focus and attention, at the same time that you are physically relaxed. This is one of the most perfect states for raising energy and force. And that's why some of the greatest have always used this technique. So you masturbate really into the arbitrary lines of your sigil. And I call them arbitrary because, like all good prayers to the divine, you don't want to tie the hand to the divine and tell them how exactly they can help you. You want to actually engage them in a dialogue. And if you already put words into someone else's mouth, that you can't hear their perspective. But you need to, so you do need to hear them, but you do need to express your wishes. And that's what your 7 lines represent, is your wish and desire to manifest into the universe. And what you're doing when you masturbate, 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 and if you can prolong your masturbation as long as you can, because mama, everyone's spiritual practice is worthy of their time. And all acts of love and pleasure. This is the most holy of holies. This is calling, I always think of it this way, it's calling back my sex. Right? I give away my sex in all these ways. The world and other people, and my job, and this and that, and something else. And a lot of times just digest food, which waddle, right? That's what that is. Me trying to stuff down feelings, emotions, stress with food. But anyways, I have my own complexities, and that's not why I'm here to chat with you about this. Anyway, so I was talking about getting all the systems online. Yes, so your electrical, your biochemical, your you get like digestion flowing. You're in this awesome flow state. You're raising a ton of energy, and if you can prolong it as long as possible without getting to a place of apathetic iteration. You should be fully engaged electrically, biochemically, erotically. It should be fun, right? One of the things that Valerie, um, what's her last name? She wrote Dust Bunnies. She's a fairy initiate too. Voight, last name is Voight, and went by the moniker V-Dub and one of the magical worlds, and certainly a witch camp. And which, if you don't know about witch camp, you can Google it. Some witch camps still exist. I think there's still one in California. Now weekend like spiritual festivals with the learning track kind of taken over, but they left off. But anyway, she used to teach. Anyways, sex magic until I mentioned it. Oh, good. That's awesome. That's great to hear. Witch camp. Yes, witch camp. That's right. Yeah, that's right. You can look up what you can Google witch camp. That's right. And it's put on by really students of reclaiming. So we kind of came up with this format and formula. And there are always multiple tracks, and you pick a track based on sort of your intuition at the moment. And you're led through like both several rituals, several learning tracks, and creating a ritual that you then participate in that you help kind of collab with. It's really beautiful. It's a beautiful experience, and always it's a deep immersion. The students and instructors, and so there's a great deal of bonding. But I forget why I brought this up. V-Dub and something about casting. Anyways, I can't recall. So you hold as long as you can. This is a technique called karetsa or retention. Karetsa. I'll put it into the thing. Or retention, where retention, where you hold back, hold back, hold back, and if it's possible, collect or harvest. There you go, witchcamp.org. That's right. I think I'm still registered with them as a teacher too, which is kind of funny. And if you can collect the all of the pre-orgasmic juices, right? So that includes ejaculate, that includes little dribbles of urine, and that includes typically if there's any sort of like a lot of friction, then there's a certain amount of mucus that can happen. Collect all of that, and then you can choose to do what you want to with that. It's a powerful mojo. Alchemists will calcinate it. They'll burn it, like and collect it, put it into a mortar and pestle, burn it, right? Take the ash, reburn it, boil it down to the salt. Then they use it in any number of magical recipes, including the plant stone. So they're metal stones, they're plants. So the Philosopher's Stone, yes, it's a real deal. Anyways, you can either collect it. I prefer reabsorption. So I'll collect and reabsorb once it's eaten. But that's after the fact. Masturbate as long as you can. Hold the thing in your mind. Focus, 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 focus until you cannot help yourself and you ejaculate or you orgasm. And that orgasm is any orgasm, right? It's and there are so many gasms, right? There's a laugh-gasm, there's push-gasm, and there are like there's an anal orgasm, there's a vaginal orgasm, there's a clitoral orgasm, there's a full body, there's you throw these other kind of gasms in there, and the more you can amp up the energy and power in your energy collection period, right, the better off you are. And then as you ejaculate, you dump all of it into the sigil, all of it, all of your breath, all of your intention, all of your tension, intention, all the merit of the joy and practice, the beauty that you experienced, the whole journey of getting to this climax, right? You just throw into the sigil, and you can imagine that literally pouring off and out of you into the sigil. And once every bit of that in several breaths has been fully expended and you feel exhausted, then you just throw away the sigil, lay back, relax. If you want to take a nap, you do. If you want to get up and clean the house, you do. If you're ready to go to work or work out at the gym, you do. Whatever it is, you let go and you allow yourself to drop the sigil. And essentially, what you're doing is you're throwing up all the energy and power into your sigil and you're handing it up to her, God herself, and you're saying, Mama, 1,000 copies, please. And the universe, being who she is, has really no choice. You start giggling. Well, go ahead and giggle. It's all, if you're a spiritual practice, that's what it was. V-dub. If you're not having in a interview she did for, I think, the green egg 1,000 billion years ago in a galaxy very far away, and witchcraft was very different. She did this awesome interview about one of her initiatory experiences. In one of them, she was left in the desert for 3 days for a silent retreat. And she had no idea what the fuck to do on a silent retreat. So she wound up just having fun for her because, if there was some expectation that wasn't shared with her, and this is supposed to be some big fat secret mystery, and she don't know what it is. So she journaled, she made great food, she camped, she sang songs at night, she hugged herself, she went to bed early and slept well and woke up early and watched the dawn and had coffee. And yeah, and out of that awesome having a good time at her own spiritual practice, she wound up making like huge leaps and bounds forward in her own kind of mental positioning against what her destiny would be as a teacher. And it really propelled her forward. Same thing is true about everyone. You should be having fun with your spiritual practice. And if you're not, you're kind of doing it wrong, right? It shouldn't be pins and needles and lying on a bed of nails and hurting yourself, hurting others, fucking up your own brain cells. And no, if that's what it's about, then it has become about processing something else, whether that's a destructive impulse or whether that's some of the complex. It doesn't matter, but it's really certainly not setting light instead of generating heat. Okay. So you release everything into the sigil and you let go of the sigil and you let go of expectation, desire, fear, doubt, shame, everything. Let it all go. Including pride, static awareness, including, I get huge downloads when this happens, especially on the final casting. And information just comes in these huge blasts that I never could ever get written down, could never process. There's always like a piece or two that sticks. I try and journal that in my journal the next day. Awesome. That's the orgasmic technique. You cast, you observe. You cast, you observe. You cast, you observe. That's it. And eventually, what you wind up finding is in your journal entries, patterns emerge, and those patterns show you what manifests best for you and what does not. And then you just follow that like you would follow anything. So this is a practice over time, and you'll find that one casting, two castings, sure, you'll get results, and they'll be pretty quick. The energy gets expended like that, and the energy comes back to you like that. This is a quick method of manifestation, which is why most witches and magical practitioners gravitate to sigilization early on in their career. And some of them follow it all the way through, like Austin Spare, bless his soul. And anyways, the second technique takes a lot more concentration, but a lot less. I call it the modest or pre-orgasmic technique. And it's very simple. It's a box breath, right? And what I mean by a box is it's shaped like a box. The inhale is an equal length to holding it, is an equal length to the exhale, is an equal length to holding it, is an equal length to inhale. What that looks like is you inhale for a count of 4, you hold it without holding, you don't lock your throat, you don't lock your lungs, you don't cinch or bear down. You just stop inhaling. And if anything, once you get to the top of it, so okay, I'm at the top of my breath. I'm highly oxygenated. I can hold this for a while, right? Or I can sit more air in, and as I'm holding it, and then without gasping to get air. And that's the whole point. Is you want to slowly bump up oxygen levels in this whole system to light up the other systems, the electrical, the spiritual, the digestion, the right. You want to light up those systems. And what we're doing with box breath is we're using oxygen to do it. It's best if you sit to do this stationary with your body as much shaped like a tube as possible. So instead of leaning back, slouching, or leaning over, right, you want to be in a yoga type pose or sitting on your sits bones and holding your entire body weight up with your back. So hands on knees, feet flat on the floor, non-armed chair or a stool, something where you can keep your knee at a 45-degree angle, and your feet flat on the floor and your ass flat on the surface, and just rise up from it. And then allowing for the muscular strength, you just relax your belly as much as possible and breathe. I always say breathe in your anus, right? So in other words, start the breath as far down in your body as you can and allow it naturally to fill your belly out. It's your spiritual magical practice. We all have bellies. And one of the best things I ever learned was from one of my first and best fisting teacher. Yes, I said those words. His name was Carl Mann, and he was a brilliant fister and a brilliant teacher, and related actually to the whole Purusha line of mystics that led to Ganymede and the founding of the radical fairy group of magical users. And yeah, that's right. And and he was brilliant. He was amazing. He was so connected and so spiritual. And he would cast circle before a fisting session, and he made what he called sacred contracts, where everyone in the circle made agreements that I need to have X, Y, and Z done, or I'm not done with the scene, and everyone makes agreements, and they make sacred contracts to please each other to finish the scene. Anyways, he's brilliant. Brilliant. He also taught about the five male gas, and I've expanded that number tremendously because I've experienced a great deal more. But the whole point was you're talking box breath. Yes, fisting teachers are a thing. Yeah, they really are. And if you have a good patient, sweet one, you make progress and remarkable. And reach levels of ecstatic surrender that nothing else satisfies. Anyways, I forgot what the point this was of the sideline. Anyways, make your body into a tube, like a yoga tube, right? So you want to be able to. Oh, yeah, that's right, Carl Mann. He taught men who are taught to suck in their guts to use the term sacred belly. And I think women, cis women, have a much easier time um, uh, claiming that as a beautiful sort of experience. I'm going to own my belly, right? And no matter what shape it is, no matter what size it is, just being able to feel that kind of, what does the belly do? Oh my God, the belly is everything. It's digestion, and it's making babies, and it's this and it's that, and it's erotic sex, and it's right. Yes, the sacred belly. And men had a hard time like really embracing the concept. The first time I heard it, I fell madly in love. I was like, yes, and that's how your breath should be, is start your breath as low as possible. Activate all of those centers as you relax them. So relaxing the coccyx or the foramen first, and you can even do Kegels to enhance this. This is where breath or pranayama yoga comes into place, using the various lock system throughout your body to force and pump almost hydraulically life force or energy or kapha or ankh or prana from the kundalini, the slumbering serpent, the base of the spine, the coccyx. You're sitting on the coccyx, sitting on your butt bones, and trying to push your breath all the way down so that it rises that energy back up through, right? And that's what ultimately a box breath tries to achieve. So I did a 5-part box breath as demo, right? 5, inhale, hold 5, exhale 5, and hold 5. Ultimately, what you want to do is energize, 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 box breath, so that 5 becomes a count of 6, and 6 becomes a count of 10, and 10 becomes a count of 25. So what you wind up doing is expanding that. Yeah, that's right. It is a great curriculum, and it's muscle memory. The best part about this isn't even esoteric bullshit, mama. This is exoteric. This is outward mysteries. This is all shit that if you just do it, transformation will happen, period, in a sense. You will change you, and you will change your life, and you'll change the amount of energy you run through this machine. It amps up your metabolism. You'll wind up losing weight. Not kidding. You'll sharpen your focus for work. You'll find that you think clearer and are smarter, and you make saner choices. Yes, absolutely true. When you highly oxygenate your body. And so yeah, and when you learn to be still and focused at the same time without shutting off your brain. This is a great method for doing it. Anyway, so what you want to do is try and breathe into your anus and breathe that breath all the way up into your chest and keep expanding, 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 expanding. And when you get to a place where you feel that you can't, by the way, when you start doing this, please keep in mind what you aren't trying to do is this. It isn't gulp and dump. That's it's called breath of fire, and all it does is raise, 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 raise without venting the energy. You want to raise the energy slowly and raise your metabolism higher slowly. So I teach a box breath. It's much less aggressive. Anyways, you box breath until you get to an expansion point where you feel like ready. Yes, I've done this for 10 minutes. I'm ready. And trust. I always start people at 4 minutes of breath and meditation. Not kidding. And then they can work up from there. And 30-minute meditation, though that doesn't sound like a lot, is a huge footprint on your life. And it's a lot, and you make a lot of ground. There are some people that amp up their spiritual practice to up to 2 hours. That's like hardcore. At that point, I start like looking at co-opting other areas of life, like my workout, and yeah, so that gives me another hour that I play with, or my bicycle time, right? Whatever, right? Anyways, you box breath until you're full of energy, and then you expel it consciously into same technique into your lines of your sigil. And once you've expended all of it and you feel fully exhausted and relaxed, you fall back, you close your eyes, you take a nap if you want, you get up, you do your laundry, you wash the dishes, you go to work, you do whatever, right? So same technique. One where you sex, one where you don't. So that's how you cast your sigil. And then beyond that, all you do is observe. Let's see. Yeah, that's right. Awesome. Yeah, cool. We'll stick around. So awesome. Those are the two techniques. And the sigil, of course, is like I said, the more arbitrary it is, the kind of the better for manifestation, though that is not to say not to be specific in your desire. One of the most important things in all manifestation work is the clearer your intention, the better the manifestation is going to carry. All the way down to details, and the more detailed, the better. But so that's our technique, right? And every class is kind of organized on this sort of basic principle. You understand, I'm going to tell you the number of lines, and that's what you're going to put on the page. That's what you're going to cast for the next 7 days, right? With a journal entry in between each of 3 castings, and then either you can wash, rinse, and repeat, or you can switch up your sigil and continue on a journey. These classes have all been a linked journey, where what we're doing is we're looking at the layers of, or shells of, awareness that humanity can intersect with, going all the way up from the Godhead down to, and right now we are in the 2nd palace of hell, home to Ashtaroth and the 428 breakers, binding beaters, smashers into pieces, and ravenous eaters, a destructive Jupiterian force. And I made a promise last week to all the other students. It was like, I'm not gonna take you there. We're gonna talk, because we have gone literally to every other realm so far leading down. And I told you all I wanted to take a fairy approach. So what does fairy mean? I'm gonna put that in the chat so you have some provenance, and you can Google fairy. And please, I am not teaching you fairy witchcraft. I don't teach her, but I'm a witch and I'm influenced by it. So what you're getting is Shen Tat's witchcraft that happens to have digested already fairy lore and technique. There you go. Outline of my sigil, and yes, okay, yeah, and that's a great point. I think that casting then, yeah, that's awesome. Awesome. Yeah, there's a great comment. Honey Sun says, if it helps anyone, I draw outline for my sigil and I like to color it in. So when doing the breathing method, I find it easier to color and adorn. Do you say myself? Is that what you're saying? My sigil at each casting, and then breath cast. It doesn't take many box breaths then. That's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. Great input. So the seed idea today, we've already gone through the realms of a bunch of entities that I wanted to verify. Honey and Danny, did you guys do your 9 stones? Please put it in the chat. Awesome. Yay, so did I. This class, that class, by the way, is the last class where Chuan-Song will be joining us. From now on, we're just going to be chatting about these realms, and there's a reason why. I thought long and hard about, do I really want to take these kids down this road? And I realized I don't, because I don't want to go down that road myself. The realms that we're getting to know of hell, and these are inner astral realms, not external or outer astral realms, but inner realms. And they wind up, like all things that go in, punching a hole into the out. And the hole punch into the out we already experienced as the vortex at the center of the last shell in Sephiro, where universes were colliding and strings were coming together to form galaxies and universes, then destroying them again in a heartbeat, right? And the entity that oversees that process. And when we start getting to this realm, you'll find it yourself if you look at any grimoires or exegesis on this clip off. You'll find that this is really where either the practitioner is going to tell you all of the greatest um, enlightened human beings have ever gotten to, and only very few bodhisattvas, um, ascended masters, people like Aleister Crowley himself, etc. And I will say that there are some humans, even in the magical community, who have claimed that they have gone this far into the inner realms. And some of them have provided exegesis. And usually the exegesis, in other words, description of the magical current force that they were working with, and in some kind of a written or expository fashion. The exegesis agrees this is at the place where this is well beyond human comprehensibility. You know, this is the moment in the Matrix where the architect tells Neo, yeah, you got here, and yeah, you're kind of having an experience that you think you sort of understand, but it's altered your consciousness just getting here. And going back is it's gonna do a number of, right? Well, if this is even past all that, this is to the place where if you actually can hold this consciousness and your human consciousness at the same time, you are living in several universes. The amount of sheer information pouring through you is insane, and at the same time, um, energy and destructive force. All of them agree. And this goes to something that I have said from the very beginning to all of my students. I want you to think about and think on the power of two things: grace and forgiveness. I always call them the most powerful destructive forces known to man next to creation. So let's put this triumvirate in there. All right. If you're going to create, what do you have to do? You want to make something with that tree? What have you got to do? Cut it down, destroy it, remake it, refashion it. What does forgiveness do? Forgiveness undoes any and all and every history and allows for the flow of a divine current or light uh, to, through, at, with, over grace. These three things undo the universe. Now, to someone who's persistent consciousness and metabolism like me, a living human, these things are said to. What did I do? I did something. Oh, I minimized. Okay, there we go. Hey, sorry. But so yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah, and it is. You know, forgiveness, creation, grace, all three are incredibly powerful. They undo history, they undo memory, they undo time. They really remake the thing that they flow through and force their knee-jerk response, which is evolution, growth, death to old ways. What, of course, does that trigger in us? The opposite, right? The plephotic shells of all that are accompanied by like the destructive impulse, or what I call Hellraiser syndrome, pinheads, uh, the actual uh, yeah. So if traveling these upper spheres of awareness, we get to experience the grace, forgiveness of creation, traveling these lower spheres. We have there what happens when a persistent thing faces grace, forgiveness, fear, rational psychotic, anxiety, myopia, a destructive force is unleashed that is entirely antipodal to creation, and yet is at the same time just the mama, that's just the teeth of the saw cutting the tree down, right? Our guide today, what I said, I always have a guide here, right? The guides that we had previously were like Ozone and Asmodai, right? And Tronzon and Belphegor, right? The guide that I kind of chose to sort of exemplify what the power and force is here is held under her hand of love. Her is, of course, spelled H-I-R. This is my concept of God herself. But the fairies call Clock or Leaner, the All Mother. Witches have talked about the the cosmic mom, not just Earth, not just Gaia, the system, but really more mom, big, right? So all of the manifest universe, if it were to be assumed to be both magical and a conscious being, yeah, her. From, by the way, pre-time to past time. Yeah. So held under her hands of love. The people who have seen beyond the previous abysses or veils into this realm of awareness, consciousness, power, and energy, whether it's true or whether it's not true that they are bodhisattvas, saints, ascended masters, etc. They also are enormous conduits for grace, forgiveness, creation, period. They undo all that they touch and remake it in new, spontaneous ways. They don't have humanity's best interest in mind. In fairy, we call them the guardians of the outer dark. And though we appeal to them, it's always an apotropaic relationship. And I'm going to spell that for you so you can Google it. Which means to palliate through praise. Throughout human history, we have prayed to entities to not kill us, eat us, burn us, maim us, disenfranchise us. This is the nature of the magic, apotropaic magic. Is I want to appease you so you don't kill me, squash me, hurt me. Awesome. The entities that live in this realm, in the second palace, that's exactly what they want to do, Mama. Oh yeah. They are the breakers, biting beaters, smashers, two pieces, and ravenous eaters. Yes. Inner. The last time I, even in dream, had contact with an entity from this realm, what did it do in claiming me? It ate my ear. These, when we get to this level of depth in the tree of death, really what we're getting to is timeless mythic structures of chaotic, sudden, hard change. Period. When it comes to living beings on a planet who want stable life and 5 hours, 12, 5 hours, 5 hours, 12, who want to have kids, have jobs, and go to work and drive cars. Yeah. All of these forces are enormous and are held at bay by your spiritual work and by the veil between themselves and the first palace of hell. So I really think of this from the fairy perspective of being of all that is held back under her hand of love. Now, what does that mean? I think it's pretty straightforward, but let's get into the weeds. And that is Valerie Voigt has a beautiful prayer that she published, and it wound up kind of fairy canon on in some lines, I think, and it certainly is a beautiful sentiment. No matter, uh-oh, can you still hear me? The share broke, but I don't care about that. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can still hear you.
All right, awesome. Okay. So yeah, we're not using. We'll come back to it if we need. And the material are all available for you online. So if you have questions, you can avail yourself of me at any time and ask me any question about the material that you see here, and I can tell you about the provenance and where it came from and blah blah. Anyway, I forget what the fuck I was talking. Where was it? I was talking about being held under her hand. Yeah, there's this beautiful prayer about please, and I'm gonna really murder it, but I'm gonna try and paraphrase it. But essentially, it is, hey, mom, give me today all the things that I kind of need to be a good person, a better person than I was yesterday, um, and guide me towards those things most salutary to my nature, and away from those things that are the worst for me, though they may be the very thing for which I am asking. When I kind of infiltrated in as an exemplar of this concept of, in fairy lore, we talk about Melech and Melech God, the peacock angel, the god king of this world, um, both the savior and enslaver of humanity, and one of the mighty fallen, and himself a bright Nephilim, and blah 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 blah. There's all kinds of weird ass lore out there. Essentially, it's if you were to take, and I really like the tech of fairy because I think it explains it without the hokum pokum bullshit, and that is we are all linked computer, humanity is, and the emergent consciousness of all of our psychic connections with ourselves and with all of these realms of projected human intersectionality, right? um, we think of M fairy as Johnny Glass, the shared one single soul, humanity's one soul. You have your soul, I have my soul, but we share a soul. Johnny Glass, the connective tissue. If there's a way that I can send you a psychic message, I'm sending it through this postal system. Johnny Glass. So if he's the linkage hardware, if he's the internet that connects us all together and creates the cloud of human consciousness, right? The emergent idea of self from that cloud would be Melech Taus. But Melech Taus is much more than Melech Taus is an active agent of change of himself, themselves, and a persistent entity with or without humanity. We just tap into that current and lens it as Melech Taus, right? And what it is, it's all of those lores kind of rammed together. There's a lot of like appropriation going on in the line. I don't really care because I get the results. So some of the stuff is straight from Musity, and some of it is like really interpretive and sort of channeled through the founder of the tradition, um, Victor Anderson, and some of it is like accreted onto the now worshipped character by a very active and very large and spreading. Um, fate practice called fairy. And anyways, that if we were to say that cloud attained self-awareness, true AI, and what we've kind of wished for a long time to try and recreate, would be the emergence of Melek. And Melek we think of as the first sort of god kid of God herself. And I'm going to share with you this cool little story that Honora shared with us at a very similar format to a witch camp. And she said Melek came up to God herself, said, "Mother, mother, mother, let us create him." And Guacarolina looked at Melek and said, "Son, my lover, my beautiful, my other, you don't know what you're asking for." And of course, the whole circle of witches just cackles. Fabulous. Right. Yeah, the incestuous creation of everything. Anyways, so she resists, he resists, they all resist until finally, she gives in. Yes, free. Right. There is absolutely this story of be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it in this uh, um, whole story arc that is summed up by this awesome creation myth. And Melek, when he catches his own wind and he gets road under his feet and wind in his sail, and he spreads out his peacock feathers into the whole universe and galaxy, and each one is a star winking in and out of existence, and steps into his glory as a Luciferian being of light and lover of humanity and friend of the Nephilim, who teach all of the tech, and who are his seven, like, sort of vassal angels for the Yazidi, each of which, by the way, wreaks destruction everywhere they come. And humanity picking up the pieces is the arc of civilization. But at a certain point, in the expansion of Mela, Coralina extends out her hand, and with the hand of love, places it over him to stop the expansion, stop the growth, to stop the nonsense, stop the chaos, stop the destruction, stop it all. One of the things that's in all of the exegesis of people who've been to this zone is that it's past the interstellar, and it constitutes a significant barrier between us and the absolute elements of extreme chaos. I'm intruding on our little clockwork universe and disrupting the whole apple. And all of the work really to be done in this zone is atrotopia in nature. It is. I'm gonna be nice to you so you don't eat me. These entities. And they have carried various names throughout human history according to contemporary magicians who encounter. The tech that I provided you offers a possibility to get past that veil if you care to pursue it. I'm not your teacher, mainly because I have found, and I wanted to say at the beginning of the class, but now you have context to understand it. At this point in traveling, the amount of discernment required to keep delusion out of your observation is impossible. And all of these luminaries who have gotten past these veils to get to these zones have, and this is why I don't travel there and don't travel others there. because my lens is going to so significantly skew my perspective on it that I'm not going to give any representation whatsoever of any truth other than that we really don't want to open the floodgates to these folks. Because that bring their family, and their family are things like, oh, Lovecraftian agents of absolute cosmic annihilation. So we're talking. So the lens gets so personalized that it's not useful. And frankly, I love this concept much more that, and I'm willing to embrace it from a positive standpoint of these are the things that trouble me, and therefore I push against them in my rise into enlightenment. And one of these things is that there's always a hard limit to growth. And that's her putting her hand and saying, though you yourself may desire and ask for that thing that you believe most would complete, satisfy, and enlighten you, the ability to kill people with lasers out of my eyes, for instance. I'm going to place my hand of love on top of that and stop it from happening. This, the second palace, is itself a barrier or membrane between this reality and the reality in which all the things we don't want here live. Let me see. 848, doing pretty good. So any astral travel or connection to the entities that live in these spheres, right? And you can read all kinds of shit about astral. Have fun. There's published rituals, there's books, there's people who claim to be priests and priestesses of, and awesome. There are tons of acid metal, hard metal, rock metal, death metal bands who are writing any number of songs to Astaroth. There are a bunch of Satanists who are doing a bunch of invocations of Astaroth, but I know what they're invoking: the spirit and agent of raw chaos. Keep in mind that the second palace on the upper tree of life is the greatest node of creation. And this is its dark, revenant other side. For the meditations, I really kind of wanted to try and nail something for you that I thought would sum up some of the aspects of this. If I were the Kraken, then what would I do? Who would I be? What would I do? If I were released on the world, if I were the dead but dreaming soul of the universe's kind of forgotten other side, I would do these things. If you, on a surfboard, were riding the tsunami, which is entirely destroying all of creation, you would be whom? These are the kinds of questions that the entities that live in these spaces bring us to bump up against, rub up against, push against. Keep in mind the roads that are connected to this sphere, the second palace in, cowardly action, right? These roads that connect it to the other Sephiro or shells of hell are roads from destructive expansion, cosmic duality. They are from destructive expansion to destructive impulse. Oh, it gets even worse when you see Mayal they all get together with Ashroth, and you have active destructive actions directly connecting with destructive expansion, right? Of course, Baal. Who's Baal, right? We met her. Pretty much the uh, earthly god of weapons manufacture. Yeah. So who teaches that tech? She is that Nephilim, right? She is that original tall one. She's the weird one, the sideways one, the Fey one, the walker between, who teaches us this tech. That if we observe long enough, we're going to understand how to propel metal shot on our trajectory through you. He's a lot nicer than they say. Yeah, of course, they're expressions of humanity. And they're all functional as well. And that's part of why this technique, and now I'm going to get a little meta with you before we jump into making a sigil. And that is, all this is magic having passed and poured itself through a technique called Kabbalah for quite a few years. Kabbalah itself is a simple mnemonic diagram with 10 nodes and 32 connecting lines, almost like the game Go, where a complex arbitrary structure provides enough flexibility for you to create knowledge domains into which to stuff human experience. And that human experience can be not only explained with, but also sort of anticipated with a good and deep understanding of the relationships between these concepts of human consciousness stuffed in these nodes, which is why the chaos magicians love it. Because not only is it computer programming friendly and Asperger to hell, but it also is a brilliant spiritual, insightful structure that helps us become better people. By simply saying, there is a portion of me that is divine and a portion of me that is its opposite. And only in the mutual satisfaction of both sides of this equation, in as expressed in human life in this, can we hope to advance in any way. Get and really advancement and improvement really aren't the goal. The goal is really gnosis. It's really, and I love this because it's one of the first lessons that Thorncoil teaches in the evolutionary witchcraft series, and that is know yourself. Know what you're worth. Know who you are. Know what you are. Know that you're one of the biggest miracles that could ever be witnessed by humanity. 7 entirely independent systems, all interlinked into one phenomenon on the world, a thinking, holographic, memory producing, a living storage device for ecstasy, experience, pain, joy, a self realization, and a burgeoning sense of the divine in this realm. And that's you. That's just you. Now plug all of us into each other, and we are all that. Including all of this. This is our burden that we bear. This is like I said, this is the wall that we're supposed to push against. And unfortunately, when practitioners get this far into like sort of outer inner, they tend to lose the real perspective that they themselves are the lens through which this light is shining. So I don't know. That's it. I gave you a good perspective and I gave you some tools should you care to yourself go that direction. I always try and encourage book. This is, of course, the direct inspiration for this series of classes. This is Grimoire. I'm going to put it in the chat. Called Black Mass by Thomas Carlson. Okay, there you go. And it is very much sort of on the it's left-hand pather stuff, right? And this guy's been around for a long time. Kind of a German magician. I read his first book, loved it, and have followed his career since. Um, it's well worth reading, and some of the exegesis of these paths in the cliffotic tunnels are really bang dead on. He's obviously done his homework. So we've had our talky, learny sort of part of the class. Now get your pipe, your whatever you're going to do your sigil on. And for practical, I would start with a pencil. And I'll create a line structure. I have a separate eraser handy, right? So I can just smudge and erase, right? And redraw. My first drawing isn't always my strongest. So I may draw once, twice, 3 times, 7 times, doesn't matter. Sometimes I do, and this is the, thank you for this, I'm in knowledge. I have to sleep. Yes, sounds well. Bye. Sounds great. I hope you draw your sigil of 7 lines. Um, yeah, and and then I photograph it, and then I Photoshop and whiz bang it and go through filters and play with it, and you see what I post online. So that process for me is a part and parcel of me digesting it to get it to a place where, like I said, it raises the hair on the back of my neck. I have an affect in this series of 7 lines. Enough so that just looking at it creates energy. And then I know it's like I've locked on to something really powerful and potent, and I want to use it for my sigil. So now is the time where we put pencil. Like I said, I do pencil first, and then I go over it with pen, right? And like right now, I have paint pens, and I'm probably going to use them because of fun. And then I'll go over it with a harder, starker line, take a photograph, and then I manipulate it like you would manipulate a book. So, yeah, now it's that time. Let's clear our heads and clear our minds. We consumed a lot of information today. Let's build that. One of the ideas I would love for you to encourage you to cultivate is an idea that there may be a possibility that you are worthy of manifesting all that you desire. And make your pencil awesome. Oh, do we have one already? Okay, let's see. Here. Now let's see if you can grab the hose.
Yeah. Maybe. If it'll let me this time. For some reason, it's been being weird today. Because, of course.
Of course it has.
I know. Of course.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay. Oh. It won't let me reclaim host. What did you do, honey, when you made me host? How did you do that?
I clicked on more and clicked on participants. That brought everyone up. I clicked on the three dots on your name and it let me and said something like give host or claim host or something like that.
Huh.
Okay, let me see. Oh, well, let's see, but I don't even have participants anymore as an option. Let me see.
Ever since Zoom updated, you have to click on the three dots, the more button to get participants and reactions.
I think I just did it.
Oh, yay. Thank you. Cool.
You're welcome.
Okay, let me share everybody's. Let's start with honey. I'm going to share yours, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, it's totally fine. You can do yours first if you want. You were the first one to, if that was yours. The Google Drive.
It always is. The Google Drive one. Let's share yours first. I love yours. Yours is so cute. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Look at that. Oh, you can see
Oh, wow.
all my other things. There we go. Isn't that so cool? I love it.
Yeah, I'll say this. That's going to be incredibly easy to cast and compelling and leaves a lot of room for like imagination come in and blend and meld with other aspects of it. I love this structure. So the angelic structure is really cool, but the echo of the other structure in front of it is like really compelling.
Thank you. How you were talking about how it like engulfs everything and will eat everything. Well, I used to play on Neopets, like a pet site. I don't know if anyone here knows of it, but
I love
they
Neopets.
yes. Oh, if you like Neopets and I have a site for you, I'll text it to you later.
Yay. Okay.
And they had this feature called the esophagore, and it was like a never-ending hungry pit. So that's kind of like what that is supposed to be. And with how you said, like you yourself are a uh like a special miracle being, that's where the angel came in. I'm gonna color it in to make it more, angel-like.
That's right. Yeah. And more like fused with the whole. Um, well, I just
Yeah, like they're both feeding off each other.
Yes, that's right. Like a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That is so powerful. I love it so much. That is so cool. So then I'll pull up mine. Okay.
Yeah, really compelling, really beautiful. I love how delicate and balanced it looks.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm a little curious what your affect around it is. Like, was there an inspiration? Did it draw itself? Are there concepts and ideas you tried to put into it?
So it started off when you were talking about everything, it really reminded me of the sacred geometry of a flower.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
I have been studying sacred geometry a long time, and the sacred geometry of different types of flowers has always fascinated me. And so I started off with just kind of imagining the different shapes of a flower and how I could play with the shapes of a flower. And then it kind of just drew itself, and um, it turned into this.
Yeah. Where one inspiration led to another idea, just explored to a third, just, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
I really like it.
Yeah, it's funny. It's really beautiful. And, and I love that you did it red, fiery, sort of like, ooh, it almost feels like, I don't know, it's lovely. It's almost like gin or smoke or the emergence of something out of something out of something. Like, the of course, you went with brachiation with your lines. So that always like leads us into further idea, further idea, further idea. And it's lovely. Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
I totally see that. That was after I had kind of stepped back and looked at it. I I got the vibe of flames and gin. And so I love that you said that.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're completely welcome. I'm gonna see if I can work out that. Oh, there's more. Should be upstairs. And I do it. So the picture already taken. See if I can make this happen.
And anybody else who would like to share theirs, if you put it in the chat, I can put it up so everybody can see a really big image of it. And thank you, honey, so much. Oh, yay. Let's see.
Could be there in a minute. Oh, still working on hers, Mrs. A. That's awesome.
Wow, Shen Tat. Yours always blow me away. Like that is so amazing. Also, how did you do that in 2 minutes? That is insane. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. It's so funny. It was like so deeply inspired by the judgment card, and yet I wanted something that was really lifting and more optimistic. Um, yeah, this one like really drew itself, and I think I can't wait to dive more into the possibilities of layering detail on that.
It has an extremely like personified look to it. Like when you look at
Yeah. Uh-huh.
it,
Yeah.
it looks like a hand and eyes and a mouth,
Mhm.
and it has like a lot of personification.
Well, and it's funny you say that because that's the accidental part. That's the part I never counted on, and wound up just kind of emerging from where the lines were already going. Oh wow, look at that! It's Kelsey's.
Oh yay, okay, let me see. But wow, Shen Tat, yours is amazing. Oh, I love all the symbolism in it too. I can see the ankh
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's what I mean by layering. I think I'm gonna layer more and more and more in
and all the different
there
like
until I really, yeah, come up with
symbols.
and figure out like where this sigil is coming from, what it's about.
Yeah. There's a lot of, yeah, like alchemy symbols in there too. That is so cool. It's
Right.
stunning. I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. You've got your good eyes on.
Thank you.
Yeah, you
Okay,
betcha.
let's see the next one. Okay, we have Kelsey. Oh wow, yours is so colorful. That's so cool. Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, hold on. Okay.
I know, and there's so much there too. Yeah, and this looks like you're incorporating some classic sigil techniques with potential letters. Um,
I literally can't help myself. It literally just happens.
I think it's awesome, and one of the things that I always tell students is the more meaning you can layer on to your sigil, the more you can pack in and encode it, the more powerful your sigil will work for you. So if you have a propensity, lean in. This is the place to lean in. I love it. So cool. Yeah, that's right. A pineapple. I saw that too. The C with the
Yeah,
sprouting.
I did not
Mm-hmm.
intend that at all. It started as a C for clarity, actually, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's
Is that
literally
what I
just what
said?
happened.
Yeah. It's
Oh, that's
so awesome.
it is. I love the, yeah, I can totally see the pineapple and the arrow. The arrow is awesome. It reminds me of the symbol for Sagittarius.
Yeah,
That was
completely.
not my
Yeah, it does.
intention. It was supposed to be like direction and connection to like sacred contracts and sacred purpose, but I totally see the
Nice.
Sagittarius symbol.
Which totally makes sense too.
I totally see it.
It does. Completely.
And yeah, I love that you use so many letters. You can see a lot of different letters in there.
Yes, I
That's so cool.
And will
thank
be,
you.
the nice thing about a strong linear or line related sigil is they just wind up so easy to cast. They keep the imagination and you can see the whole thing at the same time that you can focus on the individual parts without losing the sense of the scope of the whole design, which yours lends itself to very easily because your eye wants to move up the spiral, down the arrow, up the spiral, across the rocker. Look at this beautiful C. It leads you back to the very mirrored G. And then then you're in letter space. So the L like goes bang and hits you again and then back up and down the line. And the spiral. It's really easy. I learned this in photography class in high school, and they talk about it in the study of fine art. What is the behavior of your eye on the surface of this figure? And does it hold your eyes long enough that you scan it in all directions? And the more line work and art and fascinate your eye with movement through it, the just really the better it is. And what's meant by the better it is the more it's a lens or a focus of attention. Okay,
Super
so it looks like we
appreciate
have
it. I
two
love it. Thank you.
more.
Oh, wow. Yours looks a lot like what I was going for. I think this is Morgan. Or no, this is Miss Adams. Awesome.
This is Mrs. Adams.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exquisite, really beautiful organic shape. Uh, Powerful references to balance yin yang type thing with the reverse spirals, flame and growth at the same time. There's yeah, that's really beautiful. Oh, yeah, well, what are you saying? Looks like flame goddess. Yeah, so pretty. Yeah, very powerful. It'll be so easy to cast. Yep, yeah. You'll be able to really just drop in and focus on that. Beautiful work.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yours looks very, I don't know how else to put it, but like professional. Like you already knew exactly where the lines were gonna go. Like you had an
Yeah, it feels
idea.
that way, doesn't it? Like
It does.
powerfully intentional. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the interlocking between the continuous line and its brachiated spiral and how they reverse embrace each other. It's really beautiful. Hmm.
Wow. That is so cool.
Yeah. See, and see, this is what happens when you'll see it too. Uh, uh, when all of you really, when we hit the next one, um, if you can get that one to share to Alex.
Yes, I have it up right here. Here we go.
And that is that themes tend to emerge out of these classes when it comes to style and interpretation of what does it mean to have 7 lines, and with people not even looking at each other, seeing each other, not even knowing. We have geographic distance between each other, and yet somehow these concepts of these rhythmic sweeping curves that form lines has wound up a theme in all of our sigil.
Oh, that's so cool. That's amazing. And I
And
love,
it reminds me so much of a dorjat. You guys know what a dorjat is?
I don't.
It's the Hindu graphic representation of a lightning bolt, actually held by a god.
Cool. Yeah, I can definitely see that in this. I was gonna say like a flame sword. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So normally mine are really kind of, I don't know. I tend to have a lot of rounded lines and a lot of kind of celestial imagery. So this is
Mm-hmm.
way different. And it was just something I just kind of let it flow. It wasn't an intentional thing.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't so consciously directed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I can't wait to hear it. So, uh, we didn't do it this time because we had a lot of new people, and um, but typically there is a portion in the beginning of class where people can check in, and I always am curious to hear how is your casting this, and I find that post processing in a group really does allow the me to say the thing, get it out of myself, so I can examine it out here in a space where it's already crystallized, and always gives me deep fun to share. I would be very curious to hear that. And
So
yeah, go ahead.
mine, my casting from last week, it was probably the best casting I've ever had.
Wow.
It was like I'm usually periodically throughout the week a ball of anxiety. I felt so great this week.
Mhm.
It was amazing. On one of my casting days, I just did kind of a brain dump where I just wrote down words. Just
Awesome.
yeah, things that I, thought of or had to get rid of. And by the time I got to the end of that list, though, it was just the words were much more positive and uplifting. And then,
It had become cathartic, right?
yeah, and it just kind of escalated and went from there. I mean, it was such an amazing week. I felt very light after these
Um,
castings.
that's it. Thank you so much for sharing. Appreciate hearing.
I was actually going to ask you, Shen Tat, if I know it's kind of late, but if you don't mind, if you wanted to stay like 10 minutes after class, I would love to talk
Yeah,
to
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. I know that you have some things to share.
There's
Some
so much to share.
Okay. Well, thank you all
I
so much. Oh, go ahead.
sorry, I was gonna say I don't mind checking in too with everyone here.
Oh, yeah. Any check-ins that are available, please, let's hear 'em.
Yeah. Um, I the first two were a little bit hard to cast. I think the second one was because I didn't color it in because I was trying to go with a whole black and white and shadow themed, and it didn't really work out well. Because the last casting was like the most powerful and it felt really good. But in
After
between the
you had added
castings,
your color and personalized it. Yep.
exactly. And but between the castings, like after they happened, that what I noticed was everyone around me was so much calmer and more open than normal. Um, so much
Love
more
it.
open actually. One of my friends admitted feelings for me, and now we're going on a date, which is my first
Oh,
date. So it was like so this has been like a really awesome casting for me.
that's fantastic. Yes. And that's why I say, take your prayers, cast them, hand them up to her. 1,000 copies, please.
Oh, and I'm so glad those copies were out there.
That's right.
So I always love every time every class during the week of these castings, I always feel so much lighter during them. And this time I didn't necessarily feel lighter, but because everyone else around me did, it
Yeah.
just felt like life went so smooth lately. Even when there was turbulence, it still went so smooth. So that was really nice. It was also unusual that it was others around me that were feeling it instead of me.
Yeah, and well, here's part of what, and this is an object lesson that I think everyone online still should really be taking away from this. When the OTO came along and Crowley kind of took over steering the ship for them, one of the things he really wanted to do was take the methodology on quiet spiritual pursuits. And already there were people playing around in that space. Helena Blavatsky was kind of postulating a very similar thing, but from her perspective, it was very psychological, whereas from his perspective, it was about manifestation and being a direct agent of change, both of self and in the world. And one of the things that's most critical about their training, current still, is really keeping the magical diary and formulary and a dream diary and a this and this and a this and a this, so that we can go back and we can see, yes, this was effective for this was effective for this, and this was effective for this, and really kind of what Victor Anderson boiled down in the phrase, black magic is anything that works, and white magic is poetry. right? And what we're doing is discovering our own black magic, own way of manipulating the universe, using more than just our objective interface with the world, but also our subjective interface with the divine. Yeah, beautiful work. Yeah. So we should always be interrogating our results, is the whole point. And that's part of the reason why journals are really important. How can you know until you write it down and go back and look at it, right? And see, because memory is a very fickle thing. And if you wrote it down on exactly this day, this day, this day, it is written down. And what you will soon find if you start doing this as an ongoing practice is rhythmic patterns and cyclic patterns begin to emerge from your own magic. And reanalyzing that meta information about your own cycles of activeness and the techniques that you use to get them, you can begin honing in on, oh, what works for me, for you, right? And quit messing around with stuff that don't work. You go for the stuff. So great job, everyone. Thank you so much. Um, have we stopped the recording? We are still recording. Let's go ahead and stop the recording. I think we're done with that part. And I think, yes, Alex, you have control of the meeting.